Whether you're a returning subscriber or a new viewer, thank you for stopping by. I want to show you how to use a Natalie bray pattern to draft a Queen Annie neckline with a corset. You will also learn how to cut an inner corset panel while drafting your pattern. So watch until the end and let's get right in. I have traced the basic bodies with the waist shaping. You can snatch the waist if you want. So notice that I also taped the front and the back together at the side to ensure that the sides are equal when cutting. I'll start by marking the depth of the neckline. I marked it at 5 inches. You can measure yourself or your client for this. Then rule across. Tighten the neckline a little. Add half an inch on this side and half on the other side and connect to point D. After that, do the underbust tightening. Measure your underbust length. For me, it's 13 inches and rule across. Measure the underbust line and divide your underbust measurement by 4. Then, subtract whatever you get from the figure measured on the underbust line from it. Then share that on the underbust line here and connect to the waist. On the side of the pattern here, measure 1.5 inches in. If you are sewing for somebody who is busty or from size 18 up, then take 2 inches. Measure the same thing on the underbust line and connect to the top with a broken line. Now at the center front, also measure half an inch into the pattern. So mark your bust height up from the bust point or point D. I'm marking 3 inches, but you can go up to 4 or 5. Mark on all the shoulder dart lines. This makes your corset align at the neckline and gives you more coverage if you desire that. Measure 6 to 7 cm up from the underbust line and 4 cm to 4.5 up at the center front. Now draw a curve down from the shoulder dart to meet the ½ inch marked earlier. You can go down if you want a plunging sweetheart neckline. This is the top of the cup, and for the sides, draw the cup from the 1.5 inch line to meet the 7 marked here to the underbust tightening. Also connect from this side. Then from this 0.5 inch, connect as shown. Also, make your curve touch the 4 cm line or as close as possible and reblend until you get a nice curve. Connect the other side too. For the 3-way cup shape, from the underbust, take a line to this side. Measure like this and mark the same thing on the other side of the bust and rule. Be sure to label the parts because you can get confused after cutting the corset. Also, you can tighten this area of the cup. Just measure 0.25 inches here and blend into this line. This part goes off. Do the same thing on the other side, although this step is optional. You need to extend the lines of this tightening up to meet the bust height. Fold the original shoulder dart and cut the neckline. For the back, I won't do much. You can do whatever you like depending on the style you have in mind. Extend the dart line up, mark 0.25 inches on the side and blend back to the back dart. You can mark like 2 inches in at the top here and 1 inch down. Rules: this is for if you want the corset to have an opening at the back. You can also sew a modesty panel if you don't want it to open whenever you wear the corset. That's all I want to do at the back. Now let's cut out our corset pattern. Untape the paper and cut out your corset panels. After cutting out the cup, tape the top panel together so you have one piece. So if you want to cut an inner corset, you use this panel here to cut it. You can add boning to this panel if you want, sew loops here so that you'll be able to lace the corset for extra snatching. Typically, you use a zip closure for your main fabric when you do this. To draft the Queen Anne yoke, close the shoulder dart, measure your desired shoulder width, or use the shoulder width on your pattern and slant down like this. So all of this part goes off and then cut. For the back, lower the neck depth first. Mark like an inch for the new neck depth. From there, shape down to this area, or use freehand or cut ruler. Just shape however you desire and cut. So I taped the cut pieces together to give you an idea of what you will have. Ensure that the joinings align correctly. When sewing, you likely have excess here because of the tightening you did on the cup, and if that happens, trim off the excess. It won't affect your corset. For the inner corset, just put it between the front and the back of the corset and join together. So you will have your front, inner corset and back. I didn't sew an inner corset for this dress. I just explained how to draft it. And if you're enjoying this tutorial, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So I went on to cut all the pieces. I cut the inner lining for the lace first, and then used that to cut the lace and the lining for finishing the dress. I used Chantilly lace to cut the Queen Anne part and the sleeves. For the lower part of the corset, I cut a mermaid skirt, and I'll link a video on how to cut a perfect mermaid skirt in the description for you. Once you use that method correctly, I can assure you that your mermaid skirts won't have any fitting issues again. So here are some tips for cutting lace fabric for beginners or anyone who would find it useful. Cut the lace slightly wider than the underlining. Then lay the underlining on the lace piece by piece and trim off the excess. I do this because when you cut the underlining and the lace to be exact, you find out that the lace becomes kind of shorter or does not cover all the parts of the underlining sometimes. Also, use hemming glue to hold the lace and the underlining together. Both tips help you to keep the lace and the underlining laid without puckering or squeezing. So let's start sewing all the pieces together. Starting with the corset. Join the middle and the side panels of the corset together first and join the cup. From experience, I don't recommend using store-bought cups for corset. I used it for this one, but not again. And here's why. Not all cup sizes are available. Even when it's the correct size, you find that it doesn't fit into the cup of the corset or it distorts the shape. So I suggest caging the cup or using braffum. It will make sewing easy and the cup area will match the fabric. Mind you, I'm only talking about cup corset. For straight corset or bustiers, cup makes life easier. And if you've never encountered problems using cups for corset, please stick to what works for you. As you sew, iron all seams open. This will make sewing the boning easy. Attach the corset to the dress, pin the Queen Anne yoke, and sew to finish the neckline. Sew the zip. I also finished the skirt hem with crinoline because my clients wanted it that way. Use hemming glue to keep the crinoline down after sewing it to the hem. Also tack it down at different points throughout the hem to secure it. Here's a picture of how my clients rocked the corset dress for our introduction. Like and subscribe to help my channel grow. Thank you, and learn how to draft a Victorian corset in the video displayed on your screen right now. I'll see you there.